Hi friends, the patch notes for Apex Legends Season 10, Emergence, are now live. To save you trolling through and having to read the whole thing, I'll read through it for you and pick out some of the interesting points, and also try and explain some of the things that you might be wondering about. So obviously, we've got the new legend coming with the release of Emergence called Seer. Seer's an artist, and his abilities kind of go with his artist approach. And if you watch the dev stream, you'll also hear them talk about how Seer being an artist also influences the way he moves and acts. So this means he could have some quite interesting movement animations. Seer's passive is the Heart Seeker, so you can visualize and hear the heartbeats of nearby enemies while aiming down sights to get a clue of their locations. And the cool thing about Seer is that he's also able to ADS while not holding a weapon. And this basically means you can see the heartbeats of enemies even when you've got your weapon put away. Seer's tactical is focus of attention. You can summon micro drones to emit a focused, delayed blast that goes through walls, revealing enemies and their health bars, plus interrupting their actions. I think this is going to be a really great tactical, and it's essentially going to allow you to not just stop legends using their abilities, but it will also stop them using things like shield cells, batteries, med kit, and syringes. Seer's ultimate is Exhibit. You create a sphere of micro drones that reveal the footsteps of enemies moving quickly or firing their weapons within. Again, this could be a really great ultimate if you want to see all the enemies in an area, kind of like how Bloodhound does with his scan, and the cool thing with this is you also get to see their footsteps. Of course, Seer sits in the Recon class much like Bloodhound, so you can also scan those survey beacons, which is a class passive for all the Recon legends. Keep a lookout for the full tutorial I do on Seer when Season 10 releases. Next in the patch notes we've got the map updates, and I actually did a bit of a video covering the brief map updates that we've got, and there's actually a separate blog post that you can go and look at. The cool thing about the map updates for World's Edge, and it is only for World's Edge by the way, is that it's really changing some of the less interesting or more difficult points of interest and making them just a little bit more interesting. The Climatizer is replacing Refinery, and it's definitely going to make the area a lot larger with more loot and more interesting areas to fight teams. There's also Lava Siphon, which is replacing Sorting Factory, and it kind of changes the layout of Sorting Factory. Instead of it being one massive area, you've now got it separated a little bit by the lava. There's also a bunch of other changes. For example, Train Yard is also disappearing, but you can check out my video and also read this blog post to find out more about all of the map changes. Of course, you'll also know that we're getting a new weapon, the Rampage, and it's the latest creation from Rampart, and it's actually cool this weapon does have some lore, given the fact that Rampart specifically created it for the Apex games. So some important things to know about the Rampage are that it's a slower firing LMG that uses heavy ammo, so it's going to be a lot slower than the Spitfire, and it's more built for mid-range, and it's not great for up-close fights. However, the cool thing is that you can charge the Rampage with a thermite, and if you do charge the Rampage with a thermite, it then overclocks the weapon and basically increases the fire rate, and that's really going to help you in those up-close fights. So you've definitely got more incentive to pick up those thermites. Of course, if you're Rampart, it's an LMG, so it's going to work well for Ramparts, but because of the thermite aspect, it could also work well for Fuse, because don't forget, Fuse can double stack thermite, so in theory, he can charge up the Rampage a lot more than other legends. Moving on, we've also got ranked arenas coming. Again, I'll do specific videos for the new weapon and for ranked arenas when Season 10 launches, so keep a lookout this week. But put simply, ranked arenas is going to follow a different approach to what we've currently got for the ranked battle royale. Currently in ranked battle royale, you get points for killing and assists as well as placement points, but ranked arenas is going to be slightly different. You see, you've got to do placement matches, and this will then determine your initial matchmaking. It's actually a little bit like Overwatch. If you've played Overwatch before, you have to start by doing placement matches, and then you kind of get your rank, and then you basically go up or down based on winning games. As you can see here, they're calling it matchmaking rank, and the point of this is that it's more about the wins rather than getting kills, because you get no points for assists or kills. I'll go into detail in a full video on how ranked arenas works. There is also a blog where you can view more details. I'll put links to all of these blogs down below in the description by the way, so if you want to check them out for yourself you can. Let's move on to the quality of life updates. This one's really cool. They've got a new win streak badge. So if you get 2, 3, 4 or 5 wins in a row, you can earn this really cool badge. They've also got a new ping, which I think is really useful. It's called Hold On, and it's actually a response to enemy pings. So if your teammate pings an enemy, you can actually tell them to hold on. So if you're looting or you need to heal up and you don't want your teammate to push, this is a really great way of communicating to them that they should hold for just a minute. Likewise, they've also updated the pack button, so you can actually see what packs you've got available. Because before it was kind of standard, so if you had a legendary pack, it would cover it up and you wouldn't be able to tell how many of your total packs were actually just normal packs. Let's move on to the legend meta. So Fuse has had a bit of a buff. As we see here, enemies caught inside the ring of fire are now revealed to Fuse's team, so it will kind of highlight them, almost like when you see enemies in caustic gas and you're a caustic. It's going to be something similar to that, but with different visual effects. The knuckle cluster explosion duration has also increased by 100%, so all of those explosions that you hear popping around when Fuse fires his tactical will basically last for longer. Fuse's Grenadier passive can also be toggled on and off to throw ordnance normally. This is quite an interesting one because the passive normally helps you fire things like arc stars with a lot more velocity and over a greater distance, but it also does increase the animation time, so in theory if you toggle it off, you'll throw like a normal legend having the same animation time as a normal legend. For Horizon, they've reduced the slow fall after the initial black hole pull. They've also bumped up the gravity lift speed, so essentially you'll be able to go up the lift slightly faster, which should definitely help you because it was way too slow before. Let's have a look at Revenant. So there's actually now a visual and audio clue when Revenant's death protection is about to end. So this basically will make it easier for you if you're facing a death totem team to tell if they're about to run out. They have also added a brief slow after being recalled to the death totem. This should definitely help with those octane rev pushes because it will slow them down very slightly from pushing back so quickly. Let's have a look at Caustic. So Caustic's gas damage now starts at 5 but increases by 1 tick every other tick indefinitely. So this basically means if you get stuck in the caustic gas, it's going to do a lot of damage over time, although the initial damage is still quite low at 5. So in essence, if you touch caustic gas, try and get out of it quickly and you'll be fine. Interestingly, the cooldown time on the tactical has been reduced by 5 seconds, which is actually quite a lot of time. The ultimate cooldown has also been reduced from 3.5 to 3 minutes, and the duration has been reduced from 20 to 15. So this basically means you'll get the ultimate cooldown faster, so you can use your ultimate a little bit more often, but the actual effectiveness of the ultimate has been reduced. I think this is going to be an interesting change. You can see here the devs are talking about trying to make it so Caustic's still balanced, but to also make it so he's still got some effectiveness without being overpowered. Let's move on to the weapon meta. So you've got the supply drop rotation, and this one's a great one. The Prowler is finally coming back, and I'm super happy about this, because it's actually one of my favourite weapons. Sadly, it won't be coming back with the select fire, so you can only use it in burst fire mode, so you better get practicing the recoil of the burst fire with the Prowler. We also have 2 weapons going in. We've got the Spitfire and the Alternator. Now some interesting facts from the dev stream. The Spitfire is going back into the care package with the pre-season 9 nerf. So basically the Spitfire will have the better hipfire that it had earlier, pre-season 9, which means the Spitfire will be super strong. The Alternator is also joining the Spitfire in the care package, and the scary thing about the Alternator is that it will have the Disruptor rounds. However, you don't need to be quite as scared as you thought you might be, because it's not going to be as powerful as it was when it was way overpowered back in Season 2. Some of the hop-ups have also been changed. We're getting a new hop-up called Boosted Loader, and this gives you the opportunity to increase reload speed and also overload towards the next magazine. And it will only apply to the Hemlock and the Wingman. It will be a gold hop-up, replacing the Anvil rounds. And the cool thing about this as well is that it can overload the magazine. So to give you an example, the base Wingman starts with 6 bullets, but with the Boosted Loader, if you hit it at the right time, in the next mag you could have 8 bullets. So it's almost giving you the effects of an extended mag without actually having to pick up an extended mag. I mentioned the Anvil round was disappearing, the quick draw is also disappearing, but the benefit is that the effects of the quick draw are kind of being built into all of the pistols. So this means the wingman's kind of getting a double buff. Magazine attachments have also been changed slightly. The reload speed increase associated with extended magazines has now been moved to the stock, which means stocks now become a little bit more useful. Another interesting point here is that the marksman weapons, so the 30-30, the G7 and the triple take, now take sniper stocks instead of tactical stock. Moving on to the L-Star. Now the L-Star's had some good introductions. It now takes energy magazines, so the magazine will actually reduce the amount of time it takes to cool down, and it will allow you to fire more shots before it overheats. I think this is a big buff to the L-Star, and it's going to make it really strong. They've also introduced barrel stabilizers for the L-Star, so this should definitely help reduce the L-Star recoil. Another interesting point is that they've scaled back the visual effects of the L-Star. So you know those big red, bright, blinding bullets? You won't have as much of that now, in theory at least, when you're being shot at, but also when you're firing. Oh yeah, and a sneaky little nerf that they've thrown in to counter all of these buffs is that they've increased the hipfire spread. Again, there's some dev notes here, but in essence, they wanted to make the L-Star better across both game modes because they acknowledged on the dev stream that the L-Star's particularly strong in arenas, but not so much in Battle Royale. Let's have a look at LMGs. So they've reduced the headshot multiplier for all LMGs from 2 to 1.75, but they've increased the limb shot multiplier from 0.75 up to 0.85. Also, the EVA rate is receiving a bit of a nerf. They've reduced the bolt fire rate scaling for each rarity, although the base fire rate remains unchanged. So this basically means when you pick up a shotgun bolt, the EVA rate won't fire quite as fast as it used to. And they kind of acknowledged in the dev stream that the purple shotgun bolt used to make the EVA rate fire way too fast. So you can definitely expect the fire rate to be a lot slower when you're adding shotgun bolts to the EVA rate now. In terms of other changes, there's some arena weapon updates. I won't go through each of them, but you can definitely check out what they are. As I mentioned, because the Prowler is coming back to floor loot, you can now buy the Prowler in arena mode. Plus you can also buy the new weapon, the Rampage, and here are the base value costs, along with what it costs to upgrade them. Also, because the Alternator and Spitfire are going into the care package, this means you won't be able to select the Alternator or Spitfire when you're buying weapons in arena mode. In addition to all of the patch notes that I've just read through, there are some additional changes for arena ability adjustments, and a whole bunch of bug fixes. So again, I won't go through all of these details because there's definitely a lot here, but I would suggest going to read all of these patch notes if you want to know about the bug fixes and some of the arena changes. I'll put a link in the description below because they are quite interesting. However, I think I've covered most of the cool stuff that's coming, and the patch notes seem fairly decent. And that's it. I'm super hyped for Season 10. We've got some good stuff coming with the new legend and weapon, plus some decent changes to the legends and weapons. I can't wait to start using the Prowler again. It's not long now, friends. 6 PM UK time tomorrow, and we'll get to try Season 10. For now though, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got so much Season 10 content coming your way this week. I'll catch you later.